Hello, again. My name is the Light Wizard, and this is lesson 2 of the trinary engine series, about the quantum mechanics of the trinary engine. Please watch lesson 1, before watching this video. Thank you. In quantum mechanics, scientists see what I call the trinary molecule all the time, but do not understand what they are looking at. A trinary molecule is a molecule that has 3 states. In state 1 you will see a molecule which appears to be stable in its 0 state. In state 2 you will not see the molecule. It is in a -1 state or dark state. In state 3 you will see the molecule but in another place. As such, you will only see the 0 and 1 states. The ones form a very special bond. We call it matter and antimatter. 1 is matter and -1 is antimatter. An important concept is that the 1 we call matter is technically light matter, and the -1 we call antimatter is technically dark matter, and the 0 is what we call tritanium. It is a stable element, and is the densest element in the universe. As of this writing, trinary molecules have not been categorized. Due to the nature of the element, most of these elements would have been evacuated from our solar system a billion years ago, and now only exist in the trinary engines themselves. It is possible to collect these elements, but we will save that discussion for another video. A single set of trinary molecules will form a stable inactive state, but once you have 2 or more sets of them, one set will chase the other set around in a circle, till the end of time. It is this interaction that makes it a trinary engine. The speed at which the molecules will chase each other are governed by the mass of the engine, but they can travel much faster than the speed of light or hyperspace velocity. Once the matter and antimatter exceed the speed of light, a force field is formed on the inside of the 0 or the chamber. Note that only 1s can penetrate this force field from the outside, and only the 0s can penetrate it from the inside. This is what causes the state change. The circle seen in red is what we call the quiescence force field, and it contains the chamber. After that, a secondary force field is projected to the outside of the 0 or tritanium. It should be noted that the only thing that can penetrate this force field is another balanced pair of molecules, but to penetrate it, the state must change to a 0 state, as noted earlier. Again, it's the force field that causes this state change. The circle seen in red on the outside of the 0 or tritanium is what we call the containment force field, which contains the wall of the chamber. Together the 2 force fields act as an impregnable sphere that contains the greatest power in the universe. It is this sphere of opposing force fields that will set up another type of force field, but it is a much weaker force field than that of the innermost force fields, and they will only set up a barrier for specific types of fields, such as blocking wavelengths in specific ranges, like the gamma range, and slow down hyperaccelerated fields to the speed of light. We call this force field the Van Allen belt. It should be noted that the force field was shown round here for simplicity's sakes only. The trinary molecule is a very special molecule, only found in trinary engines in any abundance. These engines are found throughout the universe. We will talk about 2 types of engines, exoskeleton engines and endoskeleton engines. Where have you seen an engine like this before? The Sun and the Earth for starters. An exoskeleton engine is like the type found in our Sun and stars. The Sun's engine is so massive and powerful that it is impossible for other elements to attach to it. Its gravitational pull on unbound matter, traveling slower than the speed of light, is astounding, like a vacuum cleaner pulling in unbound matter, traveling below the speed of light. Once gravity tracks these elements and pulls them closer to its outer force field, resulting in a violent storm on the surface of the engine, it will then blast them into space in the form of photons and other matter of various wavelengths, traveling beyond the speed of light, finally passing through the Sun's version of our Van Allen belt, thereby decelerating them to the speed of light. Force fields will be discussed in a later video. Endoskeleton engines are much less massive, but still put out a lot of heat, just not enough to sustain a cook-off, so the material will form a shell around it. If the temperature is below 10,000 degrees, The material closest to the core will be molten, but farther out the temperature will drop, thus able to form a planet like Earth. If the temperature is above 10,000 degrees, that is high enough to keep the surrounding material in a gaseous state, not allowing it to cool down and solidify, thus forming planets like Jupiter. Note: it is the force fields that cause the heat and not the engine itself. Once you understand this concept, it will become clear. A trinary bit molecule, in essence, is only one element, but that one element can be in three states: 0, 1, or -1, and nothing more complicated than that. In a 1 state, it is light matter, or just matter, and in a -1 state, it is dark matter, or antimatter, and in its third state, it is a 0, which we call tritanium. In the 0 state, it is stable, and the densest element in the universe. The ratio of matter and antimatter is always 1:1. In a balanced engine, this will be maintained by the force field, allowing only the correct mixture into, and expelling the excess out. An unbalanced trinary engine takes place when the rate of change causes the force field to collapse, which can only happen if too many elements are added to the engine at one time, or an atom is split. We will talk about splitting atoms in another video. There are several things that can happen when an engine goes out of balance: corona mass ejection, pulse ejection and supernova. A corona mass ejection is when a small breach in the containment field causes part of the engine's surface to expel into space, whereas a pulse ejection is less severe, causing a warp in the containment field, and resulting flare, while the engine balances itself out. A supernova takes place when an influx of elements from another supernova, or source, interacts with an engine in such a way as to overload it, causing a total containment loss. When a supernova takes place, the matter and antimatter are not destroyed, because it is not possible for the two elements to combine in such a way. Consequently, what we are seeing when a supernova takes place is the expansion and collapse of the force fields, causing hyperexpansion of its inner and outer force fields, and releasing the entire mass of the engine at hyperspace velocity. Now two things can occur: the expansion can continue until there is nothing left, or it can be slowed down by its secondary force field, enough to allow it to collapse back in on itself, and form a smaller engine, a dwarf of what it was. This can happen to both a sun and a planet. If it happens to a planet, that material will be thrown into space, thus the planet will be destroyed. But it is still possible that the core engine will survive, and pull back all of its original material, but more likely that it will be absorbed by its nearest sun, causing it to go supernova. Gravity is a byproduct of the trinary engine. To discuss it, you must first understand force fields. We will discuss this in future lessons. All planets have a trinary engine, some more powerful than others, but all are linked together by a gravitational force between the two engines. Our moon is held in place by the same attraction. It is clear that the moon has a very small engine, and that our sun has little influence over it, due to the greater influence of the Earth. You can also see that a neighboring star has the same attraction over our sun. Noting that this is how all the suns in our galaxy are held in place, so too, in much the same way that all galaxies are tied together, along with their orbits, however radical, are also very predictable. This is this mechanism that ties the universe together. My conclusion is that most things you were taught in school are wrong, which is as true in science as it is in history. You have been intentionally lied to about anything of paramount importance your entire life. It is the job of the Light Wizard to correct this problem and bring you the truth about the universe and your own history. In coming videos, I will show you how to use the trinary engine to harness endless amounts of free energy, build craft that will fly in our atmosphere and through the depths of space at light speeds and beyond. This is the end of lesson 2. Stay tuned for the next lesson. Trinary Engine was written by Jeffrey Scott and Rob Rimlin. A binary bit production for the Light Wizard. lightwizard.com. Email us at admin@lightwizard.com. Thank you.